Deathworlders. In the Distrius KL, the deep space exploration vessel Harbinger drifted silently through the void, its massive sensor arrays constantly scanning the darkness. Commander Eileen Array stood on the bridge, her weathered hands clasped behind her back as she gazed at the holographic display of the uncharted sector. 16 years in deep space had left her with more gray than black in her crop hair, but her eyes remained sharp, missing nothing. "Commander, we're picking up something unusual," Lieutenant Park called from his station. Unknown signal pattern repeating every 42 seconds. Elena moved swiftly to his console. "Origin. The Cygnus arm, approximately 3 light years from our position." Park's fingers danced across the controls. "It's weak, but the pattern is definitely artificial." "Analysis?" Elena asked, leaning closer. Dr. Anna Petrov, the Harbinger's Sinolinguist, joined them. Her tall frame hunched over the console as she studied the waveform. "It matches no known communication protocol in our database, but the mathematical sequence is too precise to be natural. I believe it's a distress signal." Elena straightened. Humanity had been exploring the stars for nearly 70 years, but had encountered only 3 other intelligent species, all at similar or slightly advanced technological levels compared to Earth. None had colonized this sector. "Captain's log, stardate 219463, Elena dictated. "Harbinger has detected an unknown signal bearing characteristics of a distress call from an unidentified source. We are altering course to investigate." Security Chief Marcus Chen frowned. "Protocol states we should report to Exploration Command and await instructions. This could be a trap." Elena met his gaze steadily. "By the time our message reaches Command and their response gets back to us, whoever sent that distress call could be long dead." "We're investigating." Chen nodded, his hand instinctively checking his sidearm. Like many of the Harbinger's crew, he had served in Earth's defense forces before joining the Exploration Corps. The transition from soldier to explorer was never quite complete. The Harbinger engaged its fusion drives, accelerating toward the signal's origin. Though primarily designed for scientific exploration, the vessel carried considerable defensive capabilities, a necessity in unknown space. Humanity had learned early that the galaxy wasn't always welcoming. 3 days later, they entered an unremarkable yellow star system. The signal originated from the second planet, a blue-green world with 2 small moons. "Life signs?" Elena asked. "Extensive ecosystem reported," the ship's biologist answered. "Indefinite technological signatures on the southern continent." Elena ordered the ship into orbit. The signal grew stronger, more urgent. "I've made progress with the translation, Dr. Petrov announced. "It's a mathematical language using prime numbers as a foundation." The message repeats, "Danger, hunters, help." Belina's decision was immediate. "Prepare a landing team. Chun, assemble security. Full defensive protocols." The dropship descended through wispy clouds, touching down in a clearing surrounded by tall purple vegetation. The team emerged wearing environmental suits, weapons ready. "Atmosphere analysis complete," Dr. Henriksen, their environmental specialist, reported. "Oxygen-nitrogen mix. Slightly higher oxygen content than Earth. No detected pathogens. Suits can be removed, but keep filters on standby." They followed the signal to a structure partially concealed by the purple foliage. It resembled a massive seashell, spiraling upward nearly 30 meters. "Movement inside," Chen warned, raising his pulse rifle. The landing party froze as a slender figure emerged from the structure. The alien stood nearly 7 feet tall with a willowy body covered in what appeared to be iridescent scales that shifted between turquoise and violet. Its forearms moved with fluid grace, and its large faceted eyes regarded the humans with what Elena interpreted as caution. Dr. Petrov stepped forward slowly, using a handheld device to project mathematical sequences, humanity's universal attempt at first contact language. The alien's eyes widened, and it produced a melodic series of trills and clicks. Petrov's translation device processed the sounds. "You came. The hunting ones returned soon. Danger." Elena approached, keeping her hands visible. I am Commander Elena Reyes of the Earth vessel Harbinger. We received your distress signal. The alien scales rippled with color. I am Phelan, speaker for the Lamari Collective. Our gratitude immense. Not much time. Phelan led them inside the shell structure. The interior contained dozens more Lamari, their scales dulled to a grayish blue. Many appeared injured, with bandages made from a fibrous material wrapped around limbs. What happened here? Elena asked as their medical officer, Dr. Rivera, moved to examine the wounded. The Vex came, Delon explained, the translator struggling with unfamiliar concepts. Hunters from the cold worlds. They take our essence. For them, we are resources. Dr. Rivera looked up from her scanner. Commander, these beings have an extraordinary biochemical makeup. Their cellular structure contains compounds I've never seen before, potentially invaluable for medical applications. Elena understood immediately. They're being harvested. Phelan's scales darkened. Yes, 3 cycles ago they discovered us. They take many. Extract the life essence. Discard the remains. We have no natural defenses. How many Vex? Chen asked, his military mind already calculating. 1 large vessel, many smaller hunters. Phelan's upper arms gestured to the sky. They will return soon. The taking cycle begins again. Elena stepped away to consult with her team. Options. Chen spoke first. We're an exploration vessel, not a warship. The smart play is to evacuate as many Lamari as we can and retreat to human space. The Harbinger can only accommodate a fraction of their population, Dr. Petrov countered, and transplanting them to human territory could introduce biological complications we can't predict. Dr. Rivera nodded. Their biochemistry is completely foreign. They may not survive in our environments. We could call for military support, suggested Chin. The UVian Churchill is patrolling the Perseus sector, maybe 2 weeks away at maximum burn. Helena shook her head. The Vex will be back before then. She looked back at the injured Lamari. These people can't defend themselves. We can, Commander. Chin lowered his voice. I respect the sentiment, but we're risking human lives for an alien species we just met. This isn't our fight. Elena's gaze hardened. Isn't it? Humanity spent centuries fighting among ourselves before we realized that survival means standing together. Now we found a peaceful species being systematically exterminated because they can't fight back. If we walk away, what does that say about us? Before anyone could respond, alarms blared from their equipment. Unidentified vessel entering the system, came the urgent report from the Harbinger. Configuration matches nothing in our database. It's large, Commander, and it's heading straight for the planet. The Vex return, Delon whispered, scales paling to almost white. Elena made her decision. Get everyone back to the ship. Now. She turned to Phelan. We'll help you, but we need to know everything about these hunters. As they rushed back to the dropped ship, the Lamari speakers shared what little they knew. The Vex were heavily armored beings from a high-gravity world, physically powerful and technologically advanced. They considered the loom nothing more than biological resources to be harvested. The dropship barely cleared the atmosphere when they spotted the Vex vessel, a massive dark shape resembling an ancient Earth manta ray, accompanied by smaller craft already descending toward the Lumary settlement. Harbinger, this is Commander Reyes. Battle stations. Power up all defensive systems. Elena's voice was calm but resolute. Humanity just entered its first interstellar conflict. The Harbinger's engines glowed as it maneuvered into position between the planet and the approaching Vex ships. Though designated an exploration vessel, the Harbinger carried the legacy of humanity's turbulent history. A species that evolved on a planet classified by galactic standards as a death world. A world where life was a constant struggle against predators, disease, natural disasters, and other humans. A crucible that forged a species with unmatched tenacity and an instinctive understanding of warfare. Hail the Vex vessel, Elena commanded as she returned to the bridge. All frequencies, universal mathematical greeting. The response came almost immediately. A harsh, guttural sound that the translation system struggled to process. Move aside, unknown vessel. This territory is claimed. The resources below are ours by right of discovery. Elena stood before the communications array, her posture straight and unyielding. This is Commander Elena Reyes of the Earth Exploration Vessel Harbinger. The beings on this planet are sentient and have requested our protection. We recognize their sovereignty and right to exist unmolested. Your harvesting activities constitute genocide against the sapient species and must cease immediately. Silence stretched for several seconds before the response came. Your interference is noted, Earth vessel. It changes nothing. The weak exist to serve the strong. This is the natural order. Elena's eyes narrowed. Perhaps where you come from. But humans have a different perspective. She nodded to her tactical officer. Target their lead harvester and fire when ready. The Harbinger's pulse cannons blazed to life, striking the smaller Vex craft with pinpoint accuracy. The harvester exploded in a brilliant flash, debris scattering across the planet's upper atmosphere. Your species is unknown to us, the Vex commander transmitted, a new note of caution in its translated voice. What manner of exploration vessel carries such weapons? Elena's smile didn't reach her eyes. We come from a world where every day is a fight for survival. We call it Earth. You might call it a death world. The term death world hung in the air like a challenge. Throughout the galaxy, most intelligent life evolved on stable, temperate planets with minimal environmental threats. Earth, with its extreme weather, natural disasters, dangerous predators, and virulent diseases, was an aberration. A planet that should have produced only simple organisms. Instead, it created humans. You have made an enemy today, the Vex commander growled. The Vex Dominion does not forget. Neither do humans, Elena replied. Consider this your only warning. Leave this system and the Lamari in peace, or discover why species from death worlds are rarely challenged twice. The Vex mothership held position, sensors undoubtedly analyzing the Harbinger's capabilities. Elena knew they were outnumbered and possibly outgunned, but humanity had never relied solely on technological superiority. A new wave of harvesters launched from the Vex vessel, accelerating toward the planet's surface. They're calling our bluff, Shin said grimly. Elena's jaw tightened. Who's bluffing? All hands prepare for combat operations. The Lamari asked for help, and that's exactly what they're going to get. The Harbinger shuddered as the first Vex energy blast impacted its shields. The bridge crew maintained their composure, fingers flying over control panels with practiced efficiency. Shields holding at 86%, reported Lieutenant Amani Wade, the shield specialist. Her voice was steady despite the gravity of the situation. This was the first time a human vessel had engaged in combat with an alien species. Return fire. Target their weapons arrays, Elena commanded. Launch countermeasures and keep us between the Vex and the planet. The Harbinger's defense system sprang to life. Pulse cannons tracked the approaching harvesters with deadly precision while the main batteries focused on the Vex mothership. The exploration vessel executed a series of evasive maneuvers that would have incapacitated most crews with crushing G-forces. But humans were built different. Evolution on a high-gravity world with punishing environmental extremes had given humanity physical resilience that most spacefaring species found astonishing. What the Harbinger lacked in specialized military design, its human crew made up for in adaptability and sheer stubborn determination. Their technology is more advanced, Chin observed grimly as another blast rocked the ship. But their tactical approach is predictable. Elena nodded. The Vex ships moved in rigid formations. Their attack patterns mathematically precise but lacking innovation. Against most prey, this overwhelming force would be sufficient. Against humans, it created exploitable patterns. They're used to hunting, not fighting, Elena realized. Lieutenant Park analyzed their attack algorithms and project their next 3 movements. Within moments, Park had identified the underlying pattern in the Vex assault. The Harbinger began anticipating their maneuvers, positioning itself to maximize shield effectiveness while targeting the brief vulnerabilities in the Vex formation. Dr. Petrov, open a channel to the lawn, Elena ordered. When the Lamari appeared on screen, She spoke quickly. We need to disperse your people. The settlement is too easy a target. Are there underground shelters or natural formations you can use for protection? Felon's scales flickered anxiously. The crystal caverns beneath the eastern forest could shelter many, but the young and injured cannot move quickly. We'll buy you time, Elena promised. Chief Engineer Okafor, I need options for extending our shield coverage to the surface. Okafor, a brilliantly innovative engineer from the Nigeria-Kenya Federation, was already working on the problem. We could deploy our atmospheric probes as relay nodes, he suggested. Reconfigure them to extend a partial shield bubble over the main evacuation routes. It won't stop a direct assault, but it will confuse their sensors and provide some protection from orbital bombardment. Do it, Elena ordered. Chen approached her station. Commander, I've been analyzing their ship design. Those harvesters have oversized collection chambers but minimal armoring on their ventral approach. If we could get a team to the surface with our heavy ordnance. Elena smiled. Earth has been called many things. Harsh, beautiful, dangerous, nurturing. It shaped us into what we are, explorers and warriors both. Today, we use the warrior side of our nature. Tomorrow, we hope to focus on exploration and the exchange of knowledge. The galaxy will learn of this, Phelan predicted, scale shifting to a deep, reverent purple that Deathworlders came not to conquer but to protect. As Alina looked up at the stars emerging in the darkening sky, she thought about humanity's place among them. For all their technological advancement, the Vex had evolved as apex predators, viewing other species as nothing but resources. Humanity, for all its violent history, had eventually learned that true strength came from cooperation and protecting the vulnerable. Send a message to Earth Command, she told her communications officer. Inform them that humanity has made first contact with 2 new species and that we've gained our first ally. The news would spread quickly through known space, that a human exploration vessel had defeated a Vex harvesting fleet, that the supposedly peaceful explorers from Earth carried the capacity for fierce warfare in their DNA. Some species would fear this revelation, others would seek alliance. But one thing was certain. The galaxy now knew that when aliens begged for help, Deathworlders brought firepower. And that changed everything. The Vex pursued their methodical approach, a stark contrast to the humans' dynamic movement. When they reached a narrow ravine, Chen sprung his trap. Prepositioned explosives created from the Harbinger's mining charges detonated, bringing down a landslide that buried several of the pursuers. In orbit, Elena watched the Vex mothership's weapon system begin its charging sequence. The energy readings were off the scale, enough power to potentially destroy the Harbinger with a single shot. All power to forward weapons, she ordered. Fire the moment their shields fluctuate. The bridge crew held their breath as the enemy vessel's massive cannon oriented toward them. For a heartbeat, nothing happened. Then, just as predicted, the Vex shield shimmered as power was diverted to their weapon. Now, Elena commanded. The Harbinger unleashed its full arsenal, concentrating fire on a single point in the Vex shield grid. The gamble paid off. Their weapons penetrated the momentary weakness, striking the mothership's primary power conduits. Secondary explosions cascaded across the Vex vessel's hull. Its weapon powered down as emergency systems engaged. Direct hit to their main power grid, Wade reported, unable to keep the triumph from her voice. Their shields are down to 30%, and their weapon system is offline. On the surface, the Vex soldiers suddenly froze, their neural links to the mothership temporarily severed. Chen's team took advantage of the confusion, neutralizing several more before the aliens recovered. Something's happening, Chen reported. They're retreating. The remaining Vex were falling back to their harvesters, apparently receiving new orders from their damaged command ship. 3 harvesters managed to lift off, but a 4th, the one Chen's team had damaged earlier, remained grounded. We've got ourselves a souvenir, Chen confirmed, approaching the disabled craft cautiously, and 2 unconscious Vex for study. Dr. Rivera is ensuring they remain sedated. In orbit, the damaged Vex mothership began slowly maneuvering away from the planet. Elena opened a communication channel. This is Commander Reyes. Your harvesting operation has been terminated. Any further attempts to violate this system will be met with similar resistance. The response came after a long pause, the translated voice containing something new, a note of uncertainty. This outcome was unexpected. Your species designation has been recorded. The Vex Dominion will reevaluate. Alina leaned forward. Make sure your report includes this. Earth stands with the Lumari. Any world that requests our protection will receive it. We may be explorers first, but we remember our origins. The Vex vessel accelerated away, limping toward the system's edge where it could safely engage its faster-than-light drive. Hours later, with the immediate threat gone, Elena joined Chin and Dr. Rivera on the surface. The Lumari were emerging from the crystal caverns, their scales now shimmering with vibrant colors that the translator interpreted as expressions of gratitude and awe. The Lon approached Alina, all four arms extended in what appeared to be a ceremonial gesture. You fought for us, the Lumari speakers said, wonder evident in the harmonics of their voice. No species has ever defended another against the hunters. Where we come from, Alina explained, the strong protect the vulnerable. It's how we survived our own evolutionary challenges. Dr. Rivera had been conversing with other Lumari, learning about their culture and biology. She joined Elena with excitement in her eyes. Commander, the Lumari have offered to share their medical knowledge with us. The compounds the Vex were harvesting, the Lumari can synthesize them safely. They could revolutionize human medicine. Chin, inspecting the captured harvester with his team, called over. And this technology will give our engineers plenty to study. Their drive system uses principles we haven't encountered before. Alina nodded, satisfaction warming her chest. What had begun as a response to a desperate plea for help had turned into a first contact that benefited both species. The Harbinger had sustained damage, and there would be difficult questions to answer when they eventually reported back to Earth Command about engaging in an interstellar conflict without authorization. But watching the Lumari reunite with their families, their scales flashing with colors of joy and relief, Alina knew she had made the right choice. The Lon approached again, this time accompanied by what appeared to be a council of elders. Your people fought with skills we have never witnessed, the speaker said. One of our scholars recognized what this means. You come from what ancient texts call a death world, a planet that should create only monsters, not civilization. Elena understood immediately. You want to set a trap? Chin nodded, a predatory gleam in his eye. Exactly. Let them begin their harvesting procedure, then hit them where they're most vulnerable. It was a risky plan that would require a ground team to act as bait, but it played to human strengths, improvisation, and ambush tactics honed through millennia of both hunting and being hunted. Assemble your team, Elena approved. But remember, we need to capture at least one harvester intact. We need to understand their technology if this conflict escalates. As Chin's team prepared for deployment, the battle above the planet intensified. The Vex commander, clearly frustrated by the Harbinger's unexpected resistance, launched its full complement of attack craft. They're attempting to overwhelm us with numbers, Lieutenant Wade reported. Shields down to 60% and dropping. Alina studied the tactical display. Chief Okafor, what's the status on those shield extensions? Ready to deploy, Commander, but it will draw power from our main shields. Do it anyway, Alina ordered. Focus defensive coverage on the evacuation corridors the Lon identified. On the surface, chaos erupted as the Lumari fled their homes. Chin's team, consisting of 6 combat-trained crew members, positioned themselves throughout the settlement with shoulder-mounted energy weapons designed for geological research but reconfigured for military application. Ground team in position, Chin reported. Vex harvesters approaching from the north. They're deploying something. The something turned out to be the Vex themselves. Standing over 8 foot tall, their bodies were encased in articulated armor that enhanced their already formidable physiques. They moved with methodical precision, their 4-fingered hands holding devices that resembled oversized syringes. My God, whispered Dr. Rivera, who had insisted on joining the ground team to provide medical assistance to the Lumari. They're literally planning to extract their biological compounds on site. Chin's voice was cold when he responded. Not if we have anything to say about it. Team, remember your Earth training. Use your environment. Use their size against them. And for heaven's sake, use your speed. The Vex evolved on a high-gravity world similar to Earth, were physically powerful. But they had never encountered humans before. A species that combined similar strength with a uniquely terrestrial gift for dynamic, unpredictable combat. As the first Vex harvester descended to begin collection, Chun gave the signal. His team emerged from hiding, their weapons targeting the vessel's vulnerable underside. The concentrated energy blasts penetrated the harvester's minimal armor, causing it to crash into the clearing. The Vex soldiers turned in surprise, clearly unaccustomed to resistance from what they considered a resource planet. They raised their weapons, but Chin's team was already moving, using the dense purple vegetation for cover as they unleashed a coordinated assault. One Vex fell immediately, its armor penetrated by the reconfigured geological cutters. Another stumbled as Specialist Rodriguez executed a flanking maneuver that would have been impossible for most species but was standard training for human special forces. Above the planet, Alina watched the ground battle through remote feeds while continuing to direct the Harbinger's defense. Commander, Park called out, I'm detecting new energy signatures from the Vex mothership. They're powering up something big. Alina's mind raced through options. The Harbinger couldn't maintain its current position indefinitely, not against the superior firepower of the Vex vessel, but retreating would leave both the Lumari and the ground team exposed. Then she saw it, a pattern in the Vex energy fluctuations. Their main weapon requires them to temporarily divert power from their shields, she realized. Lieutenant Wade, the moment their weapon begins charging, target these coordinates with everything we've got. On the surface, the battle had turned chaotic. The Vex, discovering that their prey had unexpected defenders, had adapted their approach. They were no longer attempting to harvest the Lumari, but were now focused on eliminating the human threat. Chin ducked as a Vex energy blast scorched the vegetation above his head. They're stronger than they look, he reported between breaths, but slower to react. We've neutralized 4. But there are at least 20 more converging on our position. Dr. Rivera's voice came through, strained but determined. The evacuation is about 60% complete. We need more time. You'll get it, Chin promised, signaling his team to fall back into more defensible positions.